Super 6. I got that in a trade, and it's just a little bit too aggressive, which I don't, I'm just not strong enough to have my big old body leaning over it right now. And I started finding myself changing that beautiful stem. I changed out that stem for a short, that's 130 millimeter. I changed it out for a 100 millimeter stem, and I with an 8 degrees rise on it. And I says, oh, it's putting me. I guess my problem with it is I was still stretched out a little bit, a lot of it, and I needed the stack. I needed a higher stack and a shorter reach. So I said, okay, let me put I got a 36 degree stem, and it's a 90 millimeter. Let me put that on. But putting it on that beautiful bike, which is designed to be like, get you in that aero position, I wouldn't mind it, you know, but it would just look stupid. So this has a little bit more relaxed geometry, although I really wanted that one. Maybe I'll change back to that one after I lose a little weight and I get rid of my tummy. Maybe it'll make me a little more flexible. But until then, I'm just gonna switch all the parts from there onto here. That's what I'm doing right now. It has the mini V-brake, so I can run a little bit wider tire. So this is the Mavics that were on them. This is a 33 millimeter tire, and it's a little bit like for XC gravel. And this is the 28 millimeter tire, and I'm gonna run these for a while, and I might just go to 32 millimeter since I have the clearance space. But riding these 28s on the Super 6, it was more than comfortable. So I might just keep them for the speed. Who knows? But yeah, putting this crank set on, I'm glad I got it to work in here. The other crank set was Shimano Dura Ace, and it had a 1x. This build was a 1x build. And then the spindle's 24 millimeters. And the bottom bracket's a BB30 bottom bracket, which is designed for like a 31.6 spindle or something. So I had to get these, a while back I got these spacers to convert it so I can run this. So these are kind of like ridiculously expensive to do this whole conversion. So if you have to in the future, it's probably cheaper than buying the whole crank set with the BB30 spindle. But I mean, if you want to use what you already have, this is what you're going to need. Pain in the butt. Anywho. Well, still having problems with my stack height. Feel like I'm falling forward, so I'm gonna just put this ugly stem on this bike, see if that helps. Hola. So, again, this is a pretty cool stem, but I just don't like, look, it's like you got to put the bars in at the grip, the handle grip area where the hoods go, where the levers go, where it's small enough to get through here. So you can't really pull it off at the clamp area. It just makes it that much more difficult to install and remove. I mean, it's difficult for me because I'm in the bike fit mode of, you know, trying to make my bike fit for me. So it becomes annoying going back and forth between stems. Especially since I haven't been on a road bike, a road style bike in a while. I've only had a mountain bike or a commuter bike. But I got this stem on a trade like years ago, like 2.5 years ago, maybe more. And I've had it. It's a great stem. Ritchie Super Logic. This is like solid carbon, well, minus the face plates, aluminum. But everything else is carbon fiber, obviously. Usually, like the newer carbon fiber stems, they have like aluminum clamping areas, and they're like wrapped. But this one's like solid carbon fiber, and it's super light. Anywho, enough about me. Maybe I can get a longer stem if this one doesn't work out. That'll do.